the last stand of an alien warrior. The battlefield was full of fire and smoke. Explosions lit up the sky. The ground shook under the weight of war. Kailara, an alien warrior from the Valari race, stood alone. Her armor was broken, her weapon lost, and blood ran down her face. Her people had fallen. The enemy, the humans, were closing in from every side. Kailara had never been defeated before. She was a captain, a legend among her kind. Her eyes burned with pride and pain. Her energy was almost gone, but she refused to fall. She took cover behind a broken metal wall. Her breathing was heavy. A sharp pain ran through her side where a blast had hit her. Her hands trembled. She heard footsteps. Human soldiers were moving closer. "Surrender!" a voice shouted, strong and calm. "You're surrounded." Kailara raised her head. She saw the human soldiers, 10 of them, guns ready, faces cold. Their leader stepped forward. He wore black armor and carried a large rifle. His helmet covered his face, but his voice had no fear. Kailara stood slowly. Her legs shook. She looked at the human, eyes full of fire. "I don't surrender," she said. The leader gave a signal. The soldiers aimed. Kailara closed her eyes. She knew this was the end. At least she would die with honor. Suddenly, something strange happened. A human soldier ran forward. He stood between Kailara and the guns. "Hold your fire," he shouted. The soldiers froze. Kailara's eyes opened wide. The man in front of her had removed his helmet. He had short, dark hair and sharp blue eyes. His face had scars. He looked at the others and said, "She is under my protection now." The other soldiers stared at him in shock. "Commander Ryan, what are you doing?" one of them asked. Ryan didn't move. "She is defeated. By ancient combat law, I claim her by right." Kailara's breath caught. She had heard of this before. A strange human tradition, older than the war. If a soldier saved an enemy in battle, they could claim that life by right. It was rare, almost forgotten, but it was real. "You can't be serious," another soldier said. "Stand down," Ryan ordered. "That's an order." One by one, the soldiers lowered their weapons. The battlefield grew quiet. Only the wind and fire remained. Kailara's knees gave out. She collapsed, too weak to stand. Ryan turned and caught her before she hit the ground. He gently lowered her and looked into her eyes. "You'll be safe," he said. "I won't let them hurt you." Kailara wanted to speak, but darkness pulled her in. Her body went limp. Everything faded. She woke up in a small room. The lights were soft. The bed was clean and her wounds were bandaged. Her armor was gone. Her hands were tied with soft restraints, not cruel but firm. She looked around. A human guard stood at the door. He didn't speak. She sat up slowly. Her body ached all over. The door opened. Commander Ryan walked in. This time he wore no armor. Just a plain black uniform. He looked tired but calm. "You're awake," he said. Kailara stared at him. "Why?" she asked. Her voice was rough. "You were brave," Ryan replied. "And alone. I saw something in you. I couldn't let them kill you." Kailara's eyes narrowed. "You claimed me. By right?" "Yes." He nodded. She laughed, bitterly. "So now I belong to you?" Ryan sat in the chair across from her. "Not as a slave. You're under my protection. As long as I live, no one can harm you." "Why would a human protect a Valeri?" He looked at her carefully. "Because not all humans want this war." Silence filled the room. Kailara didn't trust him, but she saw no lies in his face, only a strange kindness and strength. She leaned back, trying to stay calm. Her mind was racing. She had to get out, contact her people, but for now she needed to survive. "What happens now?" she asked. Ryan stood up. "You rest. We talk later." He turned and walked to the door. Before he left, she called out, "What's your full name, human?" He paused. "Commander Ryan Hale." Kaylara memorized it. One day she would return home. But today, her life was tied to this man. As the door closed, she whispered to herself, claimed by Rite, but not tamed. And in her heart, a storm began to rise, by right of combat. The cold light of dawn slipped through the blinds of the medical room. Kaylara sat silently on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, her hands no longer restrained. Her silver eyes burned with quiet rage and confusion. She remembered the battlefield. She remembered the moment of defeat. And she remembered the human, Commander Ryan Hale, stepping between her and death. But what she didn't understand was why. The door opened with a soft hiss. Ryan entered with slow, calm steps, holding a metal cup. Hot broth, he said, placing it beside her. Your kind can digest it. Kaylara didn't move. Are you going to kill me now? She asked, voice sharp like a blade. Ryan shook his head. If I wanted to, you'd be dead already. Then what do you want from me? He sat across from her, his hands folded calmly. I told you. I claimed you by right. She stood up, glaring. You speak of ancient law. My people haven't honored that tradition in over 100 cycles, but humans still do, Ryan said, voice steady. It's rare, but it's binding. You were defeated in combat. I saved your life. Now by that right, your life is tied to mine. Kaylara's fists clenched. Do you think that makes you my master? No, Ryan replied. It makes me your shield. That made her pause. No human had ever spoken like that. Later that day, Ryan walked through the steel corridors of the outpost. Other soldiers turned their heads as he passed. Some whispered, some glared. They didn't trust Kaylara, and now they didn't trust him. He entered the command room. Captain Torres was waiting. You brought an alien into our base, she said coldly. And you claimed her? Ryan stood firm. I followed protocol. Combat right is in the Alliance War Charter, Section 17. Don't play games, she snapped. You protected a war criminal. Her people destroyed 2 of our colonies. Ryan's eyes darkened. And how many of hers have we burned? Torres went silent. Ryan leaned in. Maybe this war needs to end. Maybe she's the key. Torres narrowed her eyes. She's a weapon, and now she's in your room. Ryan said nothing, but his silence was louder than words. Back in the quarters, Kaylara stood near the window looking out at the barren land. Her eyes searched the sky. She was thinking about the signal she had secretly sent, an emergency code broadcast the night before. Just 3 words. I'm alive. Respond. But no answer had come. She clenched her jaw. Was her people ignoring her? Or worse, did they think she had betrayed them? She turned as the door opened. Ryan stepped in carrying a small device. He placed it on the table. Translator chip, he said. You'll need this if you want to understand the rest of the base. Kaylara ignored it. Your people hate me. They fear you, Ryan said. Same thing. He walked over to a cabinet and opened it. They don't know you. Neither do I. But maybe it's time we start. She turned sharply. You don't want to know me, Commander. I've killed humans. I've burned your ships. I've ripped out hearts with my bare hands. Ryan looked at her, calm as ever. And I've killed Valeri. I've seen children buried under our bombs. Does that make us different? Or just the same monsters on opposite sides? Silence. For the first time, Kaylara didn't know what to say. That night, the base alarm went off. Red lights flashed. Sirens echoed through the halls. Kaylara jumped to her feet. The door was locked, but Ryan was already running toward her. Stay here, he shouted. What's happening? She demanded. We've been breached. Gunfire rang out. Screams followed. Ryan unlocked the door. You want freedom? Prove I was right to save you. Fight with us. Kaylara grabbed the metal rod from the corner and nodded. Together they moved through the hall. Smoke and fire filled the air. An explosion shook the floor. Soldiers shouted commands. But in the chaos, Kaylara saw something strange. A human. Soldier planting a charge inside the comm room. There, she shouted. Ryan turned. The soldier saw them and ran. Kaylara sprinted after him, fast, furious. Her warrior blood burned again. She tackled him to the ground, pulled off his helmet. It wasn't a human. It was a Volari, in disguise. Her own kind. Why? She hissed in her language. You're dead to us, he spat. You let them claim you. You carry shame. She growled and drove the rod into his chest. Ryan arrived just as she stood up, breathing hard. Was that one of yours? He asked. Kaylara didn't answer, but her eyes said it all. Later, after the breach was stopped and the fires were put out, Kaylara sat alone in the medical wing. Her hands were bloody, her face calm. Ryan entered. You didn't have to help, he said. She looked up. I didn't do it for you. Then why? She hesitated. Because my people sent him to kill me. I think I've been marked as a traitor. Ryan leaned against the wall. Then maybe it's time you stop fighting for a side and start fighting for something bigger. Kaylara looked at him. Like what? Peace, he said simply. Real peace. Not lies, not control, just a future. Her laugh was dry. Peace never comes without blood. Maybe not, Ryan said. But it can start with one life. One choice. Kaylara stared at him. Then at the symbol of the human army on the wall. She wasn't ready to trust. Not yet. But something had changed. Not just in him, but in her. Enemy among allies. Rain tapped softly against the windows of the outpost. Outside the land was quiet, but inside, tension spread like poison. Kaylara sat alone in a dim interrogation room. The lights above her flickered. Her wrists were bound. Again, not by ropes but by suspicion. Hours had passed since the attack. She had killed one of her own, a Valeri spy disguised as a human soldier. She had done it to save the humans, to protect the very people she was supposed to hate. And now, those same people didn't trust her. Ryan stood behind a large glass window watching her. His face showed no emotion, but inside, he was fighting a storm. Captain Torres stood beside him, arms crossed. She killed an intruder, Ryan said. Saved the comms room. Torres shook her head. Or she staged it. How do we know she didn't plan the whole thing? She took a weapon and risked her life, Ryan replied. Twice now. Maybe she's just smart. Maybe she's playing. You. Ryan's jaw tightened. Maybe you're afraid she's not lying. Torres stared at him. Don't let your guilt blind you. You claimed her. Now if she betrays us, it's on your name. Inside the room, Kaylara was silent. She could feel their eyes watching her. She could hear the whispers from soldiers in the hallway. Even without chains, she felt trapped. Suddenly the door opened. A tall man entered. Major Silas, head of internal security. His steps were slow, like a wolf circling prey. He placed a small device on the table and sat across from her. Do you know what this is? He asked. Kaylara didn't reply. It reads biometric signs. Heart, rate, sweat levels, eye movement. It tells me when someone's lying. Still, she said nothing. Silas leaned forward. I want to believe you, Kaylara. I really do. But here's the problem. 2 more soldiers went missing last night. One was found dead in the armory. Throat, cut. Kaylara's eyes narrowed. We checked the logs, Silas continued. Someone used your code to enter the weapons bay. Her voice was cold. I never went there. Someone did. And they made it look like you. Kaylara looked away, her mind racing. Someone inside the base was trying to frame her, or worse, was planning something bigger. This isn't about you anymore, Silas said. This is about trust, and right now you don't have it. He stood up and walked to the door. You've made enemies on both sides. Let's hope you picked the right one. Later that night, Ryan entered Kaylara's room. She sat on the floor meditating in silence. Her eyes opened slowly as he stepped in. They think I did it, she said. I know you didn't, Ryan replied. But we need proof. Kalara stood. I've lived through betrayal before. It smells the same. Ryan handed her a small data pad. We checked the surveillance. Someone used a mimic device to copy your code. It's advanced tech. Valerie tech. Kalara's eyes turned sharp. There's another spy. Or a handler, Ryan added. Someone still trying to control you or test your loyalty. She looked up. Then let's hunt them. Together they moved through the base after midnight, using hidden paths and locked corridors. Kalara's senses were sharper than human tech. She could smell engine oil out of place, hear the heartbeat of a liar. Her people were trained. That way, they reached the engine core, off limits after dark. Ryan drew his weapon. Kalara didn't need one. They moved quietly. Inside, a figure stood near the fuel lines, planting a small glowing device. Kalara moved like a shadow and tackled him before he could turn. The man screamed and dropped the device. It beeped, then went silent. Ryan grabbed it. It's a chain reaction bomb, he said. It could have destroyed half the base. Kalara pulled the helmet off the figure. It wasn't Valeri. It was a human. You, Ryan whispered. You're one of ours. The man grinned, bloody and wild. You brought the enemy here. You think she won't turn on you? I'm just cleaning up your mistake. Who are you working for? Kalara growled. The man spat. For peace, without freaks like her. Ryan's hand trembled. You were ready to kill everyone here. Better than watching a human commander bow to a monster. Kalara's eyes flashed, but she didn't strike. She looked at Ryan. Now do they trust me? The next morning, the base was quiet. The saboteur had been taken into custody. The threat was over, for now, but the air still felt heavy. Kalara walked through the halls. Some soldiers looked away, some stared. A few nodded, slightly. Not trust. Not yet. But something close. She found Ryan standing on the rooftop, staring at the horizon. You were right, he said. Someone on our side wanted you dead. Kalara stood beside him. And someone on my side sent an assassin. So what does that make you now? He asked. She thought for a moment. A mistake. To both sides. Maybe, Ryan said. Or maybe the future. She looked at him. They're going to come for me. He nodded. I know. Just then, a beep came from Kalara's communicator. She picked it up. A message blinked on the screen. Her face froze. Ryan saw the words, You have 48 hours to return, or you die as an enemy. Later that night, Kalara stood alone in her room. She stared at the message again and again. It was clear. Her people had made their choice. And now, she had to make hers between two worlds. The sky above the human outpost was gray and heavy, like the silence before a storm. Kalara stood in the open yard of the base, her eyes on the clouds. Her body was still, but her mind was on fire. Inside her hand, she gripped the small communicator, the one that had delivered the message from Valeri High Command. Return in 48 hours, or be marked as enemy. She had sent a reply last night, not with fear, not with surrender, just one sentence. Come for me, and see what I've become. Commander Ryan watched her from the command tower. He had never seen someone so strong and yet so broken inside. Kalara wasn't just a soldier anymore. She had become something else, a question, a warning. A symbol of what this war was doing to both sides. They'll come for her, Captain Torres said, standing beside him. I know, Ryan replied. And when they do, what happens to this base? To us? Ryan looked down. Depends on what she chooses. That night, Kalara found herself standing in front of a mirror in the barracks. She looked at her reflection. Half of her armor had been replaced with human tech. Her left shoulder carried the mark of her old Valeri unit, scarred and burned. Her right arm now wore the insignia of the human base, placed there by Ryan after the last attack. Two worlds, and she was trapped between them. The door behind her opened. Ryan stepped in holding a box. I thought you might want this, he said. She turned. Inside the box was a weapon. Her original blade, reforged by human engineers. Kaylara took it slowly. Why give this back to me? I could use it against you. You could, Ryan said. But you won't. She studied him. You trust me that much? No, he replied. But I believe in what you could be. Kaylara looked away, silent. Then she said something he didn't expect. There was a child on our last raid. Human. Hiding inside a vent. I could have killed him. I didn't. Ryan raised his eyebrows. Why? He asked. Kaylara's voice was soft. Because he looked afraid, like our younglings do. Ryan nodded. That's not weakness, Kaylara. That's your strength. The next morning, a warning blared through the base. Incoming ships. 3. Unknown signature. Ryan rushed to the control room. Kaylara was already there. A screen lit up showing the ships in the distance, sleek, dark, and fast. Not human design. Valerie Warcraft. Kaylara's face hardened. They came, she whispered. Torres stared at her. Are they here to attack? Kaylara shook her head. Not yet. They'll want to speak first, then decide. Ryan turned to her. What will you do? Kaylara didn't answer. A message came through the main channel. It was a live transmission. A face appeared. A tall Volari female with sharp features and eyes like burning coals. Commander Verex, Kaylara's former mentor. Traitor, the woman said coldly. You stand beside the enemy. Speak now, or be erased. Kaylara stepped forward, pressing the comms button. I fought beside you, bled for you. And now you send assassins after me? You chose disgrace, Verex hissed. You accepted the right. You let a human command your life. Kaylara's voice rose. No, I chose to survive. I chose to see the truth. You have 1 hour, Verex warned. Return to our ship or burn with them. The screen went dark. Ryan turned to her. We can prepare defenses. Kaylara shook her head. That will start a war. They want me, not your people. Then let's fake your death, Torres offered. Kaylara looked at them both. No, I'll go. Ryan's jaw tightened. They'll kill you the moment you step on that ship. Kaylara met his eyes. I know. An hour later, a single transport pod was sent from the Volari ship. It landed outside the gates. Kaylara stood at the edge of the base, her blade at her back. Ryan walked up beside her. You don't have to do this, he said. Kaylara smiled slightly. Yes, I do. You're not alone anymore, Ryan whispered. She looked at him. I was born to fight, trained to obey, but now I choose. She stepped forward, walking toward the pod. But just as she reached it, a missile launched from the Volari ship. It wasn't aimed at her. It was aimed at the human base. Betrayal, she growled. Ryan shouted orders. Defensive shields up. Return fire only if hit. Kaylara turned and ran back toward the base, but the missile hit just short of the shield, throwing dust and fire into the sky. She landed hard, gasping. As she got to her feet, she saw Verex's voice on the open comms again. You chose them. She spat. Now die with them. Kaylara's hands trembled. Then, she screamed. Not in fear, but in rage. She grabbed her blade and ran back into the base. Where's your fastest ship? She asked Ryan. Hangar 4, he said. I'm taking the fight to them. Moments later, Kaylara launched into the sky in a stolen human fighter, moving straight toward the Volari lead ship. Ryan watched from the base, heart pounding. Inside the cockpit, Kaylara activated her old Volari codes. They still worked. Thuer. Enemy didn't fire. She entered the ship quietly through the side bay. Then, all hell broke loose. Inside the Volari warship, she fought like a demon. Guards swarmed her, but her blade moved like lightning. Blood spilled. Alarms rang. She moved through the halls like a shadow of vengeance. She reached the control chamber. Verex stood waiting. You were my best student, Verex said coldly. Kaylara raised her blade. And now I'm your last mistake. They clashed. The fight was brutal. Two warriors trained in the same way, the same moves. But Kaylara had changed. Her style was different now. Less predictable, less pure. She fought like someone who had nothing left to lose. She fought like a human. Verex fell wounded. Kaylara didn't kill her. Go back and tell them, Kaylara said. I am not yours. Not theirs. Not anymore. She escaped the ship just before it exploded, a timed charge she planted during the fight. Back at the base, the humans watched as the Volari ships turned and vanished into the stars. Kaylara returned, limping, burned and silent. Ryan met her at the gates. You didn't have to come back, he said. Kaylara looked up at him. Yes, I did, she replied. The unwritten code. It had been 5 days since Kaylara destroyed the Volari command ship. Since then, the skies above the base had been silent. No attacks, no messages, no answers. But peace didn't feel right. It felt like the calm before something worse. Ryan and Kaylara both knew the war wasn't over. It had just changed shape. The base was on high alert, but inside the command room something else had grabbed their attention. Lieutenant Brenner, the communications officer, called them in with urgency. We picked up something strange, he said, pointing at the holographic map. Kaylara stood beside Ryan as a symbol appeared. Not human, not Volari. A third signal, hidden behind layers of encryption. A ghost frequency, bouncing across dead satellites. Ryan frowned. Is it a trap? I don't think so, Brenner replied. It's not a broadcast. It's a beacon, like a forgotten distress signal. Kaylara stepped closer, then something chilled her. The signal carried a name. Kaylara, not her species, not her rank, just her name, spoken in a cold, mechanical voice, again and again. Kaylara, Kaylara, Kaylara. She froze. I've heard that voice before, she said, but not from any living creature. Later that night, Kaylara sat alone in the data vault watching the signal replay. It wasn't just calling her. It was tracking her. The beacon pulsed with a rhythm, one only a Volari-trained mind would notice. It was an old code, the ghost, sequenced out a forgotten language used by spies who were erased from records. She leaned forward, decoding it in her mind. Suddenly, her heart stopped. The message hidden inside the signal wasn't a distress call. It was a location, a set of coordinates. Deep underground, beneath the ruined valley between the human and Volari borders, a place known only in whispers. Project Echoall. Ryan joined her hours later, reading the data over her shoulder. Echoall, he repeated. What is it? Kaylara didn't answer. At first, then she said, it was a myth among my people, a hidden place, where traitors disappeared, where prisoners of war were taken and never came back. Ryan's eyes narrowed. And you think this place is real? Kaylara looked at him, her voice low. I think it's where this war began. They took a small stealth ship at dawn, only the two of them. As they flew over dead land, burned trees, and long-forgotten trenches, Kaylara's thoughts were heavy. She had been many things, a soldier, a prisoner, a protector. But now, she was something else, a seeker of truth. The coordinates led them to a mountain ridge, sharp cliffs, hidden from every scanner. They landed the ship and entered on foot. A broken hatch, half covered in rock, opened into darkness. Inside, old lights flickered on, motion sensors still working after years. Kaylara walked first, blade ready. Ryan followed, hand on his sidearm. They passed through ruined labs, shattered computers, and metal walls covered in symbols from both human and Volari languages. They were working together, Ryan said. Before the war. Kaylara nodded. This place, it wasn't just a lab, it was a secret alliance. At the heart of the base, they found a sealed vault. Ryan bypassed the lock. Inside was a single glowing pod. A figure lay inside. Not dead. Not alive. suspended. Kalara's breath caught in her throat. It was her. A copy. Same face, same eyes, same scar. Ryan's voice was barely a whisper. What the hell is this? Kalara's hands shook. The pod activated. A projection lit up. An old recording. A human scientist stood beside a Valari elder. Project Echoall, Day 1, the scientist said. We have successfully cloned the hybrid prototype. Half human, half Valari. Memory suppression complete. Field test to begin soon. Ryan took a step back. This is you? Kalara backed away, eyes wide with horror. I was never born, she whispered. I was made. Silence filled the chamber. Kalara fell to her knees. My memories. They're not real. Ryan crouched beside her. You're more than where you came from. No, she said, shaking. I was created to be a weapon. They used me, sent me to war. Erased the proof. You broke their code, Ryan said. You chose your own path. But what if that was part of the plan too? She whispered. What if I was meant to turn? Ryan looked into her eyes. Then choose something they never saw coming. They returned to the base that night. Kalara didn't speak. Her face was hard. Her thoughts even harder. Captain Torres met them at the gates. We just got word, she said. The Valari and the Earth Command. They're both moving troops toward the valley. They know, Ryan said. Kalara nodded. Echoall isn't just a lab, it's a lie. And now both sides want it buried. What do we do? Torres asked. Kalara turned toward the stars. We expose them. That night, Kalara stood before the soldiers of the base, humans, civilians, techs, mechanics. She stood tall and unshaken. I am not what you think I am, she said. I was created in a secret place where both your leaders and mine made a monster. Me. They sent me to kill. They used me. And now they want me dead because I remember. She paused. But I won't run. I won't hide. If war must come again, let it come, but this time, we fight not for power but for truth. One by one, soldiers looked at her differently, not as a threat, but as a leader, a truth they weren't ready for. Until now. Trial by fire. The sky burned red, not from the sun, from warships. Kalara stood on the high walls of the base, her eyes locked on the horizon. Valari warcruisers hovered in the distance. Human dreadnoughts responded, lining up across the valley, like blades ready to strike. Two great armies, both prepared to silence one woman. Her. They don't want peace, she said softly. They want silence. Behind her, Ryan adjusted his body armor. His voice was calm but tense. And you're the noise they fear. A warning echoed across all channels, repeated in 3 languages. Surrender the traitor, or face extinction. The base had 12 hours, but time was the least of their problems, because something else had awakened. It started deep underground. Inside, the ruins of Project Echoall now reconnected to the power grid. A terminal came online. Its screen flashed a symbol. Not Valari, not human, but something older, something watching. Inside its sealed chamber, a voice whispered in static. A voice that wasn't from this galaxy. It spoke one name, Kalara. That night, Kalara walked alone through the dark corridors of the base. She had barely slept in days. Her skin burned sometimes now, not from wounds, but from something under her skin. Heat. Pressure. Memory. As if a part of her that had been locked away was starting to wake up. She entered the lab where her cloned copy had once been held in stasis. Now the pod was empty, but the echoes were strong. Ryan followed her inside. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then he spoke quietly. There's something happening to you. Kalara didn't deny it. My dreams are Different now, she said. I see flashes, not just memories, instructions. Like what? She looked at him. Like how to end this war in one single command. Ryan froze. How? Kaylara's voice lowered. I think there's a protocol. Something deep inside my code. A kill switch. Maybe for every Valeri unit, maybe for more. Ryan's eyes widened. You could wipe them out, or wipe us all out, she said. Silence filled the room. Then she added, I need to find out who built me, and why they buried it. The next day, before the armies arrived, Kaylara stood in front of the base's crew, not just as a soldier, but as a final chance for something more. She didn't wear armor, she wore the scars of battle, of betrayal, of truth. We stand on a line, she said. Not between two armies, but between the world that was built for us, and the one we could build ourselves. I was made to be a weapon, not a leader, not a person. But today I choose fire, not to destroy, but to burn away the lies. A silent pause followed. Then one soldier stepped forward, then another. One by one they stood beside her. Ryan smiled. Looks like you've got an army now. At sunset, the battle began. Not all-out war, yet. Just pressure, missiles, flyovers, demands. Torres called Kaylara into the control room. They want you, she said, and they're not bluffing. Kaylara nodded. Let them come, but I'm not hiding anymore. Then, without warning, all screens went black. A strange frequency hijacked every channel. A voice began to speak, but it wasn't in human or Valeri tongue. It was ancient, mechanical, alien. The voice echoed like metal scraping time itself. She has awakened. Protocol Death Seed is live. Stage 1, Inheritance. Suddenly Kaylara dropped to her knees, grabbing her head in pain. Her veins glowed faint blue. Not just tech. Hybrid code activating. Ryan rushed to her side. What's happening? Kaylara looked up, eyes burning. I remember now. Remember what? Her voice trembled. I'm not the first. Flashbacks hit her in waves. Images of other Kaylaras. Clones, prototypes, tested on alien worlds, released, watched. Each time, failure, until her Project Inheritance, the last attempt. A perfect blend of human adaptability and Valeri instinct. A being designed to awaken only when war reached its final peak. A trigger. Not just for war, but for something much older. Something watching the conflict from afar. Feeding from it. Ryan pulled her into the secure medbay. What do we do? Asked. Kaylara stood slowly. Stronger now. Her skin stopped glowing, but her presence had changed. She was no longer just Kaylara. She was becoming something more. We finish this, she said. We face them all. Both sides? Yes, but not to destroy them. She touched her chest. To remind them who they really are. She walked outside the base just before midnight, alone. Ryan tried to stop her, but she raised a hand. This is my trial, she said. By fire. Across the valley, both human and Valeri leaders stepped out of their ships watching her. She activated the beacon from Echoall. A massive pulse shot into the sky, and then down into the earth. The ground shook. The air twisted. Above them, stars blinked out, not from clouds but from something massive moving in orbit, a shape hidden in deep black, something not built by humans or Valeri, an ancient station, watching for centuries, and now, responding. A voice spoke again, the same alien voice. Inheritor accepted, cleansing begins. Panic broke out. Human and Valeri commanders gave orders to fire. Missiles launched at Kaylara from both sides. She stood still. Just before they hit, her body flashed and a shockwave exploded outward, energy shields. Impossible technology. The missiles dissolved mid-air. Kaylara raised her hand, and all weapons shut down. Human rifles, Valeri blades, even ships in orbit. Dead silence. She had become the failsafe, not for war but to stop it. Kelara turned toward Guy. The leaders? Her voice echoed without any tech. You built me to destroy your enemies. Instead, I destroy your illusion of control. This war is not yours anymore. It ends now. Then she walked back into the fire-lit valley, alone, glowing with quiet rage. Claimed by honor, darkness fell across the valley like a curtain closing on history. Ships, once proud symbols of two mighty civilizations, now floated helpless in orbit. Weapons were disabled, communications offline, commanders silenced, and in the center of it all, Kelara stood, glowing faintly with a pale blue light. Her presence alone had rewritten the rules of war. But something deeper stirred inside her now. A new signal had begun pulsing from the ancient station that hovered in low orbit, a station no one knew existed until it moved. Kelara could hear, it not with ears but in her blood, not just a message, a final command, and this time, it wasn't asking. Inside the control center of the base, Ryan paced the floor, watching the skies above on a flickering monitor. She's not responding, Torres said, trying again to reach her. She's not gone, Ryan whispered. She's choosing. Choosing what? Torres asked. Ryan stared at the static screen. What kind of future we're allowed to have? Above the earth, the ancient station pulsed. Its voice, metallic heavy, spoke directly into Kelara's mind. Inheritor protocol complete. Confirmation of corruption across both factions. Prepare for reset. Kelara's fists clenched. Define reset, she said aloud. The voice didn't hesitate. Genetic cleansing. Extinction of war-capable species. Rebuild begins at biological zero. Her breath caught. They didn't want peace. They wanted silence. Forever. She wasn't the key to peace. She was the lock on every door that led to life. And now they wanted her to open it. She fell to her knees. Images flashed in her mind, Valeri cities burning, human colonies crumbling. The faces of children, civilians, soldiers from both sides, Ryan, Torres, the people who had stood by her. She was built to end the war, but now she could end everyone. She screamed, not from pain, but from rage. I am not your weapon, she whispered. I am not your plan. And then, the light inside her chest pulsed. Something broke free. In the orbiting station, alarms triggered. Its systems faltered. Kelara wasn't just resisting the command, she was rewriting it. Lines of alien code appeared across her vision. She didn't fully understand the language, but her instincts did. She reached into herself, not into memory, but into the very code that shaped her, and began to rewrite the core instructions. Not erase the world, but change the rules. Down below, Ryan and Torres watched the sky. A second wave of light flashed across the stars, soft silver blue like the surface of a quiet sea. What is she doing? Torres asked. Ryan smiled slowly. She's giving us a future. Inside Kelara's mind, she stood before a vision of the station's creators. Ancient beings long extinct, who once ruled across galaxies. They had created the inheritance protocol after their own war destroyed them. They left behind one last solution, erase all war to protect peace. But they made one mistake. They built their final weapon with a soul. Kelara looked up into the sky. The station shook in orbit, lights flickering. Her voice echoed across all frequencies. No device? No translator, just her. I reject the reset. I reject extinction. I claim the right to choose a third path. A pause. Then the voice responded. Define third path. She closed her eyes and whispered, forgiveness. Suddenly, the energy inside her exploded, not as destruction, but as creation. Light erupted from her chest and spread across the valley, up into the sky, into the ships above. Every weapon system recoded, not shut down but rewired, no longer able to kill, only defend. Systems now demanded consent from both sides before activation. All war was disabled, but free will remained. Ryan fell to his knees, watching it unfold. His heart heavy with awe, Torres wept. Across both fleets, soldiers lowered their weapons, realizing the same truth. The war was over. Not because they surrendered, but because one woman refused to let them die. Kelara collapsed at the center of the valley, eyes closed, chest rising faintly. Ryan reached her first, falling beside her. She opened her eyes slowly. Did it work? He nodded, his voice breaking. It worked. Good, she said softly. He held her hand. You rewrote the universe, he said. She smiled weakly. No, just the worst part of it. Weeks passed. The ancient station powered down, silent now, floating above Earth like a ghost. Kelara recovered slowly, her powers dimmed, but her mind clearer than ever. Leaders from both sides gathered under truce. For the first time, no one arrived armed. She was invited to speak, but she didn't. She only stood on the balcony beside Ryan, silent, while the world below began to rebuild. In time, she became a myth, a living code, a story told to every child born after the war, the warrior, who rewrote the war. Some called her a savior, some called her a machine, but those who truly understood simply called her Kelara, the one who was claimed by right and stayed by honor.